What is going on, my fellow guardians, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between? This is the Speaker Podcast, episode 25. We are a fourth of the way to 100, and boy, oh boy, what a joy it is.
Well, I can say for certain that this has been a very interesting last two TWABs, as there hasn't really been a lot to cover, which I think is, gosh, it's either a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I think I'm kind of leaning more towards it's a bad thing right now because the season just started.
Yeah. So
usually we get lighter TWABs whenever like halfway through the season, whenever it's kind of mellowing down, but season just started.
The good side of this could potentially be that there might be something bigger coming next, and they're sitting on their hands waiting for it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be I wouldn't say it's going to be a longer season, it's about the same length. But this will carry us into, there's one more season after this before Lightfall. So they could just be waiting for the story to ramp up. They could be waiting for GMs and Trials to come back, because Trials are coming back, this month, or is it next month?
Next week. Trials is next week.
Next week. So there's some more things to cover then. They'll probably have more to talk about, with skill-based matchmaking and all the other fun things to go over. But because the podcast, because the TWABs have not been very fruitful, honestly, I could just tell you exactly what they said right now. Guess what? Did you know Dares of Eternity? They redid those weapons.
What? The what? The weapons in Dares?
Did you know that you could craft those weapons?
What?
End of TWAB. That was this week. That's literally it.
Can I rant now?
Go for it.
Can I rant? Okay. Guys, Bungie. Guys, girls, Hippie, DMG, all y'all, Cosmo, all y'all that are, any of you that are involved in writing the TWABs, this is the kind of thing that should have been revealed before the season dropped, okay? Because I was playing a little bit of Dares before the season dropped, and I probably got a Red Border BXR or Wastelander before the season dropped that I got rid of because I didn't think it was coming back. So many people were all like, well, it's they have they're in the database as craftable weapons and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I get that, but they haven't said anything about it, so I'm going to assume that they're not. And I'm not, I'm sorry, you added 100 vault space slots. That's not a whole lot. I don't have room in my vault for just random crap to lie around.
Right.
I really don't. I save a lot of stuff because I do YouTube. I like to save weapons that I would like to test, different things like that. And I'm pretty active in both PvP and PvE. So I have weapons for both. And guys, I'm sorry that to see this come out. Honestly, this just like you didn't have anything to put in the TWAB this week, so you're like, hey, let's tell them that this is a thing.
Well, I mean, the people got to know, Ledge. The people got to know that if you don't have the sword, the other half, you only need one red bar, and it's going to be guaranteed that if you get the other half sword, it's going to be guaranteed that it's red border because they want to keep how rare it is. But I'm going to tell you this. I farmed for that sucker a lot and never got it. The second this season started, I got like 7 of them. Woo. So I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, so I was telling Ledge this could be a good thing. This could be a bad thing. Without having anything to say in the TWAB means there could be more coming soon. They might be sitting on their hands. Like, yeah, we said this a couple minutes ago, but like, hey, maybe I want to say optimistic about this because Ledge has got that glass half empty kind of feel right now. I'm gonna go glass half full. But I mean, I also could feel it. I also could see like they've got nothing else to talk about. But let me tell you what the community is talking about. Freaking Divinity. So while Ledge pulls this up,
real quick, I'm just gonna preface this by saying Blood is already in the chat. Nerf elites, please. Nerf the top 0.00001%, please.
No, we don't get political in this chat.
No, we don't. We're not. This isn't politics. We are talking about the Destiny elites. So I've already got it pulled up here. It's a whole little thread from Saltic Repo. If you are unfamiliar with Saltic Repo is currently the 3-time world's first MVP, 3-time back-to-back, Vault of Glass, Vow of the Disciple, and King's Fall, most recent. And then he's also Clan Elysium, his whole group. They've been very active with getting, like the top second spots and stuff like that. Very, very, very consistently. So, yeah, they're really good. You go ahead.
So I was gonna say their clan's also known for speedrunning stuff, and a little bit more backstory too with all of his clan and stuff. There's a lot of backlash from the community on their rating. A lot of them are known for speedrunning, and out of their hat trick of raids they've won, because they've been world's first 3 times in a row, 2 of those raids have been reprised. Vault of Glass and now King's Fall. They won them handedly.
And are still totally playable in D1 right now.
Right. So it's no surprise to anybody, there was data mining. People knew it was coming. They said Vault of Glass is coming, and even in the interview they said, like, we went back and 2-manned every encounter to prepare for this. Like, okay, so yeah, they knew. And King's Fall was no different. They went back, they practiced, they trained. Never said that during the interview. It's all over their Discords. It's all over their streams.
Yeah.
This is what they did. No, it's not to say, they're not committed, because, you got to be committed when you want to play Destiny sometimes. But it's put the community in a weird state, because, like, we'll accept this if it's 3 new raids. Like, Vow is impressive, because in Vow's like, you had to learn, all those mechanics. Give us 2 more raids where you land top place and it's not reprised, then we'll accept you guys as, a top guild. So there's already this going on. They've already been like heralded as like, look at this group, they're so great. And then he tweets this out. And it's a long thread. So go ahead, Ledge.
Okay, I'm gonna start by saying this has I'll read it first and then we'll get into it.
No, go ahead. It's the people go into this with a different mindset. Go for it.
So this didn't start with Salt, okay? I feel like this actually started with the SBMM topic of this whole battle. Like, Destiny is split, and I can't really say that it's 50-50 because it's the casuals and the elites. That's the discussion, right? And you've got to realize there are way more casuals than there are elites. That's why I don't say it's 50-50. That's why I feel like it's actually more or less, it's actually probably closer to 60-40 or even 70-30 probably.
I would probably go 70-30.
70-30, yeah. So, so with the SBMM topic, a lot of people, people like myself who I consider myself to be
PvP guy.
PvP guy, yes, but above average. When we've had this talk, I'm not going to get into it again, but this talk of that the elite people feel like they're kind of getting picked on whenever it comes to SBMM. Not picked on, not per se, but whenever we have to step up our game more or less, right? And it's not just a one-off. It's every single game, and I've done it. And Sam has jumped in. He's even kind of we've played around with it a bit to see what it looks like. If somebody who's not that I'm playing with that's not as high tier. My control games have been super sweaty, right? And it's made things pretty crazy. On the topic of divinity, Salt is an elite, okay? He is the 30% that we're talking about.
I would probably even go further than that.
He's the top 1% of the 30%, right? Like this is a guy that knows his stuff. He can speed run anything. His entire clan, Elysium, they speed run all of this stuff. They do the low mans. If you don't know what low mans is, that's doing a raid with less than like 3 people or less. Like they do this stuff all the time. Here's the discussion, and he titles it "Divinity Nerf Discussion." If I'll start by saying if you want a really good, really detailed description or like video on this, go check out Astacross. He did a video earlier today. Very good, very concise. Okay. Saltagreppo. He makes this thread. It's a pretty long thread. I'm going to say it is a very well thought out argument. He's not just coming off and saying anything. He really breaks down the here, the why, the what can we do about it. He does a great job of that. And I'm not saying I agree with him, but he does a great job. He says, Divinity nerf discussion. Hey, this is going to be a thread. I've been thinking about a way to nerf Divinity for quite a bit. The gun is basically mandatory for most boss encounters, and it makes aiming a non-factor, which is very unhealthy for the game for multiple reasons, such as removing most of the skill gap during DPS and making precision weapons way too easy to use. Forcing high-risk, high-reward weapons such as Whisper of the Worm out of the meta, since they simply can't be buffed, otherwise they would be S tier due to Div, removing the risk aspect. For the longest time, I didn't really ever come up with a viable solution. I don't think removing the debuff would do much. Teams would still apply debuff by other means and use Div on top of it for ease of crits. Reducing reserves for mag size would probably be pretty insignificant. We have multiple ways to produce special ammo on demand, and hunters can easily negate low mag downsize by just dodging to reload or throwing a shuriken. There really aren't many viable solutions without completely reworking the weapon. In my opinion, the guaranteed crits are just too good on certain bosses. But not long ago, I finally came up with an idea that could work while also preserving the gun's identity. What if Divinity kept giving the crit bubble, but provided a 0% debuff that overrides any other debuff? So that, for example, using Divinity plus Tether still resulted and no debuff as long as Div is applied. That would make it so if you decide to use Div, you both sacrifice someone's damage and lose the ability to debuff the target, making it a safe option but worse compared to what a skilled team could pull off by hitting their shots. This is something that should be easy to implement for a technical standpoint, since we already had the past lower percent debuffs that used to override higher ones, and it would make using Div a choice with a strong trade-off. The change wouldn't really affect less skilled teams that want an easy crit when running their weekly raids, since damage checks in normal mode are easy enough. As long as you are hitting your shots, a debuff isn't needed.
We're gonna put a pin in that for later.
Okay,
we'll come back to that.
I'll go ahead and well, you know what? Here.
I know where it's at. I'm just saying,
okay,
for the audience sake, we're gonna come back to these. There's at least two of them we're gonna come back to.
On the other end, it would make day 1/contest raids way more interesting, since ambitious teams will be able to risk not using Divinity and try to get a higher DPS output by hitting their shots. Let me know what you think down below, or if you have any other ideas. Since so many people keep saying this, no, difficulty isn't the point. I don't think it's needed, but if that's what it takes, let's reduce bosses' HPs to make up for the nerfs so that the casuals won't be affected. The whole point is that Div shouldn't be both the best and easiest option.
All right. So, before we get into this, because I have a lot to say on this subject, Legend, what's your take on all of this? I know it was kind of a mouthful to read. Yeah.
Go
for it.
Okay, so once upon a time, we had this magical grenade launcher. I believe you obtained it by, it was a random drop from Samuel's first favorite D2 raid.
Oh, yeah.
Anarchy. Anarchy. That's what we called it. It was magical because it did all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
It did all of the things by, you could, tether it along the ground, and it could take out ads, no problem. You could tether it to a boss and get some really significant damage while also being able to use your special weapon for alternate DPS, basically doing both. You could, tether it to things like the, on the Proving Ground strike. You could tether it to the inside the shield thing to be able to, escape, be able to do strings. It was good, right? It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they nerfed it, and pretty significantly, they took the ammo reserves down to, basically Basically. Well, I mean, honestly, if I'm being real, pretty fitting for 2022 standards. Yeah. So, yeah, poverty level, ammo reserves. So, great. Awesome.
Totally not political, Ledge.
No. But you know, poverty standards. So, they did all of that, and I feel like most of the community, while they weren't happy about it, myself included, Sam included, we understood. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I feel
And Anarchy was like a must for a lot of GMs. It was one of those exotics where if you didn't have it, it was like Gallahorn back in D1. Like, if you didn't have those meta weapons, you were not picked up. You were kicked in LFGs. And that's like probably the prime example of like not being able to do content. If you don't have Gallahorn, you don't play.
yeah, that's fair.
So
that's fair. And here's the other thing about it. What made it so great? Part of the problem with what made it so great is after we got this magical thing after sunsetting happened and we lost our raid. What was the name of that raid?
Scourge of the Past.
Yeah, Scourge of the Past. Scourge of the Past. That's right. So
you keep saying we are raid. It's my raid.
Your raid. After we lost your raid, Scourge of the Past. You could go to the kiosk at the tower, and anybody could just buy it, right? So everybody had access to it. Everybody. Okay.
Now, granted, it was expensive.
Very expensive. You had to
but
work for it.
It was accessible to everyone.
Yes, absolutely. So, for a time before it got nerfed, a ton of people had it, and what you saw is 6 stacks of people running this thing, and you absolutely saw this day one for Deepstone Crypt, and thereafter.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, for sure. A ton of people running it.
It became the meta for DPS for Taniks at the end of Deepstone. It was meta for the Gatekeeper in Vault of Glass. It was meta for a lot of different raid scenarios and just DPS on the regular. Like, if you this is what you did. It was double slug shotties and Anarchy because you didn't have to reload the gun. It was pop 2, switch to your slugs.
Yes,
it was perfect.
Yes. So that being said, I want to reiterate a point that I said there. Everybody had it. That's why it became a problem, right? Here's the thing about Divinity. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna start by saying something else. Months ago, they nerfed Desperado, right? You remember when they
came to their senses?
Oh my god. This is why we get along so well, honestly. But so they nerfed Desperado. They lowered its fire rate percentage, and it's still usable. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, for sure.
But I made an argument about it back then because a lot of people were saying that high impact pulse rifles were the problem. That they were a big problem, and they could be oppressive. Don't get me wrong. They could play scout rifle ranges for sure, and Desperado made them pretty oppressive. Okay, they weren't a problem before then because there was only one gun in the game that had the perk on it, and that perk was, or that gun was Redrex's, well, 2 guns, Redrex's Claymore initially, and then Redrex's broadsword. Here's the thing: not a third of the community had that pulse rifle. I had it because I grinded for it because that was something that you got by playing comp, right? And it was not easy to get. I had it and I appreciated it. But it wasn't a problem back then because nobody had it, right? It wasn't super oppressive because only a few people had it. That's Divinity. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the Divinity quest, the whole first part of it, fine, easy enough, but you have to go through the Garden of Salvation raid, and you have to complete a plethora of puzzles within the raid by using a tether mechanic that everybody has to be involved in. Nobody can skip it. Everybody has to be involved.
Yeah.
You have to run 6 mans. You can't do it. You can't do it with less than 6. And it's in... There's, six different puzzles you have to do throughout the raid?
Yeah.
From the beginning...
start to finish.
To the end. Throughout the raid. Okay. And then, after you did that, the chest at the end of the raid would give you the Divinity. Okay. Not a lot of people have done that. It's not easy to do. In our group, prior to fairly recently, we got it for a couple of people, or just one. I don't know. Maybe just one. I don't know.
Those two. We got two people.
Just two people. Two people got it. Great.
We still have two more.
Two more to do that want to do it. And here's the thing. This is how crazy it is. We really have to schedule and make time to do this because it is such... It's
a time commitment.
It's a commitment. Yeah. It's absolutely a commitment to do. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't willing to do that. Here's the other thing about Divinity. Only one person is running it as opposed to a whole 6-man fire team. Okay? Now, does it help everybody else? Absolutely it does. Whenever you have a boss like what's his name in Valve the Disciple? Rulk. We have Rulk.
Yeah.
Rulk moves around. That dude is dancing around trying to kick you while you're doing DPS. All right? It is not easy to hit his head. Okay? Salt says, right there. He said, forcing... Where is it? Oh, yes. The gun is basically mandatory for boss encounters, and it makes aiming a non-factor, which is very unhealthy for the game. First off, I don't know why that's unhealthy. You do still have to shoot a point. Yes, it's a bigger point. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But for bosses that move around, it does help out a ton.
Yeah. Those
are two of my biggest points. I just don't know why anyone thinks that this thing is oppressive. And I've seen a lot of arguments from people, and again, not saying Salt, no shade to Salt or anything like that. Again, made a very well thought out, very, very concise argument here. But I do disagree. So, yeah.
So, I will say this, along with the way, so to speak to Salt's character at least, he cares about the game, clearly. Yes. This whole Twitter thread put him in a vulnerable position where he is being openly mocked by the community. He is in a position where he felt like he could make this tweet, and and he was literally asking for people to talk back and to share thoughts. He put himself in open fire. Ledge and I kind of do something similar with that. Like, we have a podcast where we give our opinions on a game that we both love. And there are days where we'll sit here and we'll just gush over how great the most recent update was, how amazing these guns feel, how awesome this raid was. And there are times where we'll sit down and Bungie, what are you doing? Like, it comes from a place of love. Like, we like this game. We play this game. We choose to spend free time playing this game and leading a clan that thinks the same way. So by him doing this, it's putting himself in a spot where it proves that he likes the game and he wants to see it continue and thrive, and he's trying to give criticism where he thinks it's necessary, and he's asking the community to talk about it, because Destiny community has always been, like we said, almost 50-50. People like skill-based matchmaking, people don't like skill-based matchmaking. It's completely divided, and that's just the way the community is. Now, I will say this. We said this before. Salt is on another level when it comes to PvE stuff. I would consider myself somebody who is pretty good at PvE. I regularly take teams through raids. I regularly lead people to boss completions and all these different things, and show them, not just tell them, but show them how to do it and build into it and do those encounters later. So that way, if I'm not there, they can then lead other people through it. I will say Divinity was one of the challenges that I had to lead a team to get. Now, back in the day, this was during sunsetting, right? They were getting rid of over half the raids in the game. And back then, what you could do, if your team went through and beat the majority of Vault of Glass, like you got to the final boss fight, you could get the checkpoint there, and you could have one player run all the way back to the beginning of the raid. It was very difficult, but you could do it. Get to the beginning of the raid and bring 5 people in, run all of their puzzles up to the final boss fight, do the boss fight, and you were done. That saved so much time. Because if you leave anytime during the raid, you do not get the divinity if you had the quest for it. So that was a way of cheesing the quest. Bungie's response to that, and they've done it with every raid since then. Every time you complete an encounter, it locks the door behind you. So if you made it through Vaulted Glass, not Vaulted Glass, but Garden, to the final encounter, and you tried to go back, the previous encounter, the door was locked. And if you tried to go over the wall, it killed you. Now, our Titan Blood figured out a way to do that, but it's, Blood's also on another level of crazy when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. And he has a YouTube video actually showing you how to do that. But we tried doing that recently with Val the Discipled. We we actually had all the right callouts for the red chest, and we just missed one.
They shot an extra.
We shot the wrong one.
To go back
we shot an extra one, and so we tried running back, and it literally wouldn't let me go back. And I found a way where I could warlock fly around the corner. No, it just insta killed me. The second I turned the corner, it was like a darker area. Just boom. Not even a countdown. Just killed me.
Just insta.
All right. All that set aside. Now, why is this important? Well, on a regular basis, I'm teaching raids. I'm the Sherpa for our clan. I'm one of the Sherpas. I have taught many raids, led many encounters, and helped many, many teams and clans get through raids. Not just ours. My OG clan, Destiny 1. Every now and then, they call on me like, hey, can you help us with this? Absolutely. I'll drop in, bring a couple guys over, we'll get them their clears. I've done LFGs that way. I've helped some other friends with their clans getting through. So I do what I can where I'm able to. Now, everybody has different levels of skill. And that's not a shot to anybody. It's some people play the game a ton, have God roll weapons, have the meta armor, have mid-max stats, have the right mods in place. Great. That's great. You can put out more damage. Wonderful. And then you have some guys who they work all throughout the week. They're spending time with their families, or they don't have families and they're busy working, and they can get on 1 or 2 times a week to play games. And those 1 or 2 times a week where they get on and play, they want to get the most out of their experience. Actually, we have a guy who's a truck driver in our clan. He's gone 5 to 6 days a week. And he joined up because he's like, I want to raid. I want to get some encounters done. Like, sure. What he brought in the raid? Huckleberry, a glaive, and I think a grenade launcher. Those aren't meta. And most LFGs would kick you out for bringing those weapons in. He didn't have anything else. That's what he had. We made it work. But you know what also helps? Because at that point, we're down 1 person. We now have to make up the damage for 1 person. How are we going to do that? The rest of us could all run mid-max and do everything we could do. Sure, it's possible. But to ease up on the team, Divinity is the way to go. We have members of our clan who their aiming skills aren't great. And they've actually chosen to play other games, but actually one of our guys, he wants to play with us again. And his ADS skills aren't great. My dad is the same way. My dad likes to play with us, and my dad doesn't have good AES skills. Plays Call of Duty all the time, but all he does is stand there in the corner with a shotgun, just shooting guys, or an RPG. And he plays hardcore mode, so it's 1 hit, 1 kill.
Nice.
But he does what works for him. In those instances, when we're trying to get people through those encounters, trying to get them to clear that content, to give them that mountaintop feeling, Divinity is what we turn to, because it then levels that playing field. Is it possible to 2 and 3 man every encounter in every raid? Potentially, yes. Has it been done before? Oh, yeah. And what are they using? God tier weapons, maximized loadouts. Some of us don't have that kind of time to put into the game. Some people do. Okay, great. And you'll find if you actually read this thread through, a lot of people's comments are like, don't use it then. Well, it's an option in the game. Why wouldn't I be using it? I don't know what to tell you. But if you take that away from casuals, or people who just want to experience the game and everything the game has to offer, you're kind of locking out. And I'm hesitant to say that as well, because we'd find another way.
Yeah.
But this is the way we've been able to do that kind of stuff. So if we take it down a couple, I remember I said I put a peen in one of these things. Landing those shots, it shouldn't be difficult. Correct. The
But
key
it
word
is.
is there shouldn't be.
But it is.
And yes, sometimes it is difficult. You have Ro who's running around the map. Okay, sure. Yeah, you can hit him in his little pencil head. You can hit him on his 4 weak points on his 2 shoulders and his 2 legs. Yeah, you can do it. And a skilled team, yes, skilled teams can pull that off. You do not need divinity. You know what else is good? If you drop divinity, you now have 6 people
Doing DPS.
going full DPS. You're actually holding yourself back by using divinity. Sure, you're guaranteeing 5 people are going to be landing crits. But if skilled teams could pull it off, 6 players could do way more damage and not need it. So, take it as it is. Do I think divinity needs a nerf? No, I do not. I think it is a great tool to help people through the game. If Bungie wants to do something about it, lock it from day 1 content.
I was gonna say that's
Just do that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Block it from contest mode.
Yeah.
There you go. If you want to do that, go for it. But don't hurt the new lights or the old lights who are coming back to the game. There was a lot of people that want to play games and they don't have the time to put in and invest. Sure, the game should feel rewarding for people who have been playing for a long time. I myself am one of those people. Ledge is one of those people. You know how long it was before I got my divinity? It was like a year after the content came out. And that's just what it is. It's not an easy gun to get for some teams.
Yeah.
Yes, I get it. There are people out there who could do it blindfolded with one hand tied behind their back. Sure, great job. I would high five you, but your one hand's tied behind your back. It's just, you have to understand it's not just you or the top echelon that you're running with. Not every clan is god tier 0.1% of the clan or guild game. There are some clans who are just there to play on the weekends and have a good time. And that's what it is. Our clan is kind of a mix. We love to do content. We love to do PvP. Some of them. We push them into the corner, then go play PvP. The rest of us, we raid regularly. Our clan has been growing exponentially this season.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of growth. We've seen a ton of people come and join us, and a lot of them are hungry to get content done. Raids, dungeons, pinnacles. That's what they're here for. That's what they want to do. It's fun. So if that's something you're wanting to do, by all means, chase after it. Go do it. This tweet is somebody who cares about the game immensely, who wants to see the game continue. He's worried that this is causing a crutch for a lot of teams. Totally understandable. It is a must-have for day 1s. Want to prevent that? Take it out of day 1s. Just do that.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, and that's it, right? It's a crutch or whatnot. It's a crutch. So what? Like, seriously, so what? If you have a problem with it being something that you use, then I do kind of agree with some of the people that say, well, then don't use it. Like why hurt everybody else? And
yeah,
I could make some concessions with you. Like, I could absolutely understand and say, hey, maybe it shouldn't do the debuff. That's fine. Right? That's fine. I agree with that. But then to take it all the way, it feels like insult to injury to say, so not only does it not debuff, now it has a 0% debuff that also turns off all of the other debuffs, right?
Right.
That just sounds like insult to injury. I'm being real with you. As a hunter main, as a PvP guy, feels like the exact same thing they did whenever they said aerial effectiveness of all weapons while you're using stompies is going to be minus 50.
Yeah.
Right? Minus 50 to everything. Right? It just felt like insult to injury. This kind of feels like insult to injury. And again, no disrespect. I totally agree with Sam. This is somebody that does care for the game. That doesn't mean that it's a bad take, though. Right?
Right. this definitely plays into that. What's the right word I'm looking for here? Somebody who's constantly looking for the next mountain to climb.
Mm-hmm.
In PvP, and honestly, in Call of Duty, this is the best explanation I can give for you. In Modern Warfare 2, people using noob tubes got like hate mail. So why hate mail? Well, it's a one-shot kill. Well, so is shotguns, so is the invective sniper rifle, so is... Okay, well, those are fine because it takes actual skill. You know how hard it is to noob tube somebody from across the map as soon as the game starts? They have to figure out where to shoot on every single map. I've seen the YouTube videos. Those 12-year-olds are good, okay?
12-year-olds.
I don't know about you, Ben, but if you have banged every mom in the neighborhood, like, that's some skill. 12-year-olds apparently are just, like, a echelon to themselves.
That's mad right there. That's
mad. But that's just it. Like, oh, if you don't like it, don't use it. I never did. But you know what? If I did use it, it was like, but it's in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the game's hidden easy mode, why aren't you doing it? Like in Dark Souls, magic has always been the hidden easy mode. Dark Souls 1, it was magic. Dark Souls 2, it was pyromancies, well, hexes. Dark Souls 3, it was dark magic. Elden Ring, it was the blood katana. Like, there's always a hidden easy mode, no matter what you do. You want it to be challenging? Challenge yourself.
Yes.
Don't use it. But don't be mad at the person standing next to you who's like, I don't play as much as you. I gotta do this. I'm doing it for myself because I play games to have fun.
That's it, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody's not here to sweat their... I'm just gonna say it, to sweat their balls off every time they get on to do something. You know, like again, that's how I feel about SBMM right now. You know, it's like I don't like, this is something that I do enjoy playing, and that's like the biggest part of it for me. It's like whenever there's somebody that's like trying to play with me and they're like making it a hard time for everybody else, I speak up. I let them know. I don't stand for that because this is, at the end of the day, a video game that realistically means absolutely nothing for any of us. This isn't going to help us. I'm not going to one day be like, oh man, I'm so glad I could hit my golden gun shots in Destiny. Like, that really is going to help me be a better father or something, you know, like no. But we come here to decompress. We come here to have a good time, to be with our friends, and to do that. And no, we don't want to like sweat our balls off every time we get on. And again, I want to make sure this is very clear. Salt has no affiliation with Bungie. This isn't from Bungie or anything like that. He's just a content creator out in the community that's a very, very prominent content creator, especially for, you know, being involved in raids and stuff like that. And I appreciate a lot of his takes. I appreciate a lot of the stuff that he does do. But this right here, and I think we'll probably close with this. We'll close with this segment here with this. This ain't it, bro. So.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. End of this discussion. No, I don't think Divinity needs a nerf. You want to fix the problem? Take it out of day one contest mode, and there you go.
And that fixes it. And that's by the way, that's the easy fix, right? That's the easy fix. A lot of times I've given Bungie. I've criticized Bungie for doing the easy fix as opposed to the hard thing, because sometimes that's what it takes. Like sunsetting. They sunset everything because of a select few weapons that made the game super easy. Right. Same kind of thing.
That was part of the reason, yes. That was part of the reason.
Part of the reason. There was a lot more to it, yes, but part of the reason was you had a few weapons like Mountaintop. You had a few weapons like Recluse, you know, and don't get me wrong, we have SMGs in the game now that make Recluse look like
nothing,
you know, realistically. But you had some of those things, and instead of going and tuning those weapons down individually, they're like, well, let's just get rid of all of it so they can't keep bringing that stuff into day one raids and stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, there are a lot more other reasons, but right here, leave Divinity alone. It's fine. Take the take the buff. Take the debuff thing away. That's fine. I get that. Fine.
Yeah.
What are we talking about next, Sam?
So we got a couple different things here. I'm going to spin a wheel. Let's talk about weapon nerfs.
Oh.
So there have been a couple guns, like Divinity, that have been coming up a little too strong. They've been talking about the linear fusion rifle meta has been dominating the playing field. It has been a power weapon that has been. It was buffed several seasons ago because it was something that was never played with before, and now that's all you see when it comes to boss encounters. The funny side of that is, to me, in addition to seeing that, we're also seeing a lot of really great linear fusion rifles come out with some of the most OP damage buffs. We're talking about Cataclysm having bait and switch and 4 times a charm. I'm able to put up mad damage stacks with that. And then they gave out a new one for everybody that only takes 2 frames to do that has firing line and assembly. Like, if you haven't built that gun yet, and
I put a video out on it, go check it out.
You definitely do that. Definitely do that. Definitely get those enhanced perks. That is a great weapon that can help carry you through some DPS checks. But yeah, I feel like they're in a great place, and they're overshadowing everything else. Yeah. They've definitely been hinting at they really want this heavy machine gun meta. And I don't know about you. Have you hopped into a Nightfall at all these last couple weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you noticed one of the new modifiers? So during the light blade mission, there's a new modifier. So there's famine, but then there's I do not remember exactly what it's called, but heavy ammo for heavy machine guns becomes more plentiful when you have one equipped. And I'm not talking like, oh yeah, no, I did have a heavy ammo finder on for machine guns, dude. Like every other kill was dropping heavy machine gun ammo. That became my primary weapon. I could run 2 specials and a heavy during famine.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is throw Cataclysmic on. No, I'm sorry, not Cataclysmic, but Cartesians with Vorpal and Lead from Gold.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness! I was scooping up ammo. I was just ruining things.
And by the way,
is a good meta.
That's a great meta. By the way,
yeah.
The Stasis fusion rifle from Crucible from last season can also roll Lead from Gold with Vorpal, and it's a rapid fire frame, just like Cartesian. Yeah. So, and my god, and it's Stasis. Yeah. You can have both equipped at the same time, along with your primary Thunderlord or something.
yeah. There's your overload right there. And honestly, there's overload. So you have overload LMGs this season, and then sniper rifle barriers. That covers 2 of the major things, dude. That is a sick perk, and that's what you want to see to push the meta. So tell me, do you think any weapons in our current loot pool right now could use a nerf? Do you see there's an archetype that's performing too strong? I'm interested to see.
We're talking about overall. We're talking about PvE, PvP.
Let's go overall, and then we'll dial it into PvP because that's your specialty.
Overall, okay. Anything that needs a nerf, genuinely, I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is I think that I'm a huge proponent of, instead of nerfing one thing to bring it down to everything else's level, I'm a bigger fan of buffing other things to bring it up to that level. Now, there's definitely a point you don't want to go above, of course. You know.
Of course.
There's definitely that point. But whenever we're talking about LMGs, for example, here's the thing about LMGs. They were never meant for DPS, just like heavy grenade launchers. Never meant for DPS. You guys remember Wendigo? So good. It had this magical perk on it that's recently come back. The Explosive Light. Was that? Yeah, Explosive Light. Yeah. So that one was made for DPS, sure. But other grenade launchers, they're made for ad clearing, right? That's what LMGs are made for. They're made for ad clearing. 21% delirium. That was meant to add clear, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's subsistence with killing tally. You basically get a non-ending stack of rampage that you're just constantly refilling it, and the weapon, like that rampage, lasts until the weapon is reloaded, right? Like that was made to melt waves of ads. Okay, so I don't really think anything needs to be nerfed overall. Inside of PvP, yes. But that's because, PvP is an experience where, players are coming together to fight one another.
Right.
So, for example, I don't really have a problem with glaive shields inside of PvE, for example. They're fine. They're great. They've allowed me to solo 2 dungeons that I hadn't had done before. Duality being one of them, because I have the glaive, because I have the shields. The extrovert perk on the Enigma, being able to basically, it's a debuff. While you're dealing damage on the boss, he does less damage to you. While you're using the glaive, while you're hitting him with the glaive, so I'm able to get in, and whenever he goes to do a stomp mechanic or something, pop that shield up so I'm not flying away. It does help. You know, it's cool. I like that. But inside of PvP, the glaive shields are too powerful. Anything with a shield, right? I could say the same thing for Risk Runner, though Risk Runner can be counteracted simply by using an arc weapon. And the same goes for what was that big LMG?
That one.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Heir Apparent. So things like that I don't really like. I've never really been one to say, hey, this needs to be nerfed, this needs to be dealt with. I know a lot of people that do, a lot of people that at one point, and maybe it's because maybe they're not as good at the game, and that's kind of, maybe it's because they feel like some of those weapons, that the reason they can't do well is because they're battling these kinds of weapons. I've never been one to say something needs a nerf. I've very few times. One time was Lawrence Driver, just because of the ridiculous amount of aim assist. Linear fusion rifles have crazy aim assist. This has been well known forever. This is why they're, so cool. That's why I like having somebody that knows how to use a heavy linear fusion rifle inside of PvP. Whenever they get heavy ammo, like they know what they're doing. They're on it. And you're almost guaranteed 3 kills at that point in time, because at the time you can only get 3 per brick. Now I think you get 5 shots per brick. But anyways, and I think that the first thing that they did with Lawrence was they nerfed the amount of special ammo that you get per brick from 2 to 1.
Yeah.
And then they also made it to where you couldn't get more ammo by using the scavenger mods on your legs. Not really a fan of nerfing things in general.
Yeah, that's good. So let's talk about Arc.
Yes.
At the beginning of the season, you and I both kind of had some weird feelings about Arc. My feelings really haven't changed too much. I've seen amazing builds, right? Plunder the Booty has some, Error has some, ASTRO has made a couple. There are some phenomenal Arc builds out there. I think Hunter definitely landed the sweet spot when it comes to a new meta for DPS. That Gathering Storm ability is so nice. There is some really good damage potential that comes out of that, and it is wonderful when it comes to helping shut down bosses. And it's really good as a lick it and stick it kind of super, because you just chuck that bad boy into the boss you're fighting and go right back to your normal DPS rotation, and you're landing mad stacks and easily the top DPS. I haven't seen the numbers next to Golden Gun or whatever the top numbers would be for different supers, but it's great. The Titans with the ability to transmog their grenades to make them much more potent.
Yes.
That Thunderstorm grenade is insane. I've seen bosses literally try to run away from the grenades. It's disgustingly good. My feelings are the same on the Warlock. I very much feel that it's underwhelming. I have seen outstanding builds I'm just not a fan of constantly spamming my grenades and constantly spamming my melee. There is that Sunbreaker one that I did with the gauntlets. You know, Monte Carlo, 1 melee kill, 5 grenades.
Right.
Cool. My infinite well build, where I have like infinite, well of radiances. That's about as far as I'll go when it comes to spamming abilities, because it comes down to, are these things super viable for raids? Are these things super viable for dungeons, GMs? Is it fun to clear content that way? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a Nova Bomb build that I do that it's super fun. Is it viable endgame? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Really fun for clearing strikes though.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes down to. I think a lot of these builds are very much geared and tuned towards that, and I think we're going to see some of these potentially pop off when it comes to GM time, but I think that's going to be like the real proving grounds when it comes to what Arc is capable of when we get our GMs in. So my feelings are still underwhelming to me. I am a solar main warlock. That is just what I play. There isn't a lot of incentive for me to switch. I have been playing a bit more Arc and just kind of experimenting around with it, feeling it out. I do like the new perk for guns, like the Volt amplifier or whatever it's called, like Jolt something. Jolt shot, yeah. I think that's really fun. But to me, again, it feels underwhelming to me as somebody who only plays Warlock.
So Arc, specifically, of course, yes, Hunters certainly got the bulk of the update there. It's cool to see that Titans have a dodge ability now. That's very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess that uses their shield or whatever. Is that what that does?
Yeah. So instead of having a barricade, they can do a kind of like a football dodge.
Yeah.
Where it's like they got the ball and they just kind of
strafe,
spin.
you could call it. Yeah. So that's very cool. And of course, again, yes, Titans with their grenade builds and stuff like that now on Arc, very cool. It seems like the biggest thing for Warlocks is just like with Solar stuff. It seems like ability spamming really is like the number one thing that they can do. And I can totally understand, like I think Sam's biggest thing whenever Arc 3.0 was coming out was he was hoping for a buff to a Kamehameha, right?
Get that chaos reach up there.
Exactly, because I mean Warlocks really just don't hit DPS the way they used to.
Yeah, and before anyone gripes about it, Nova Bomb is a great burst DPS. You have Cataclysm Nova Bomb, which is cool. Huge burst damage. You know what can destroy that? Bosses. I've shot my bomb at Cabal with the LMG. They'll destroy it, and then they can pop the little ones, completely making your Nova Bomb void. Haha. See what I did there? You can also run Vortex. Vortex is great. No aim assist, no tracking, drops to the ground pretty quickly. Some nice AoE damage. Cool. Almost no one runs that, because it's just easier to shoot it and run.
Yeah.
Solar, that sword is really only good for clearing ads, and honestly, if you're on Solar, you're running well over Radiance.
Yeah.
Arc, Tickle Fingers is ads, and then ever since the huge nerf to Chaos Reach, there isn't a reason to run it. Meaning, our biggest DPS when it comes to running super is going to be Cataclysmic Nova Bomb. Or you be that support for your team and you run well. That is our two best options when it comes to overall DPS. Otherwise, we clear ads. What we're there for. Chaos Reach was one of the big ways we could have potentially aided in sustained DPS, as with Geomag stabilizers before the nerf, it was putting up damage numbers at the same level as a Titan using
Missile.
the chest piece and missile.
Yeah.
The Titan did it in 1 second. They put all of the damage numbers into what a Warlock has to do in 15 seconds,
Instantly.
by the way. You are out in the open for 15 seconds. You can absolutely clear ads, but you know what you also can do? You can shoot one tank over here and then sweep it over and hit another tank over there. That was the cool part. That was like, oh, this boss is jumping or moving around. I can keep that on.
Mm-hmm.
Sustained DPS. That's what I wanted to see come back. It didn't come back. I was very upset.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of upset. I've just found my my new sweet spot.
Right.
And that's running support for my team who's then able to do their best.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's fine, and I appreciate that, about you. The fact that you're, you could. Would you not do that? Okay, mother. Anyways, you could sit here and whine about it, and threaten to quit playing the game, or whatever, or say everything else needs to be nerfed or whatever. But you're not doing that. Instead, you're embracing something else. You're embracing the strengths that you can play to right now. Right. So I do appreciate that. It sucks because even with like the Hunter Super, right, kind of like with the missile, it's big DPS right up front. If you manage to hit the boss with that, it follows them, it stays with them. While it's staying with them, I'm here with a Divinity or a Linear Fusion Rifle just laying into them at the same time.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, if there are any ads that are spawning around that boss, my Super periodically cleans them up. So
yeah.
It does feel like that Warlock's definitely got the shite end of that stick.
We've talked about this a ton.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna say it again. I think we're shifting into those identities for each of the roles.
Yeah,
I think as the game begins to shift a bit more into the next little round of, probably in the next year to come, we're gonna see some more shifts into our supers. Warlock is gonna fall into that. Healer / long range elemental DPS. I think we're going to see Titans finally go into that tank role we've kind of always seen them in, but a bit more sturdy. Hunters are going to go back into like kind of where they're at now, but shift a little more heavily into that glass cannon, sneaky dodge around, big deeps kind of build, because that's what every MMORPG has. You're going to have those kind of core things. And eventually we could see them space that out, maybe add another class. I kind of don't think so, but who knows? That all being said, Ghostwood says, slap that like button. Chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Ghost. Do appreciate that, man. Yeah.
But yeah, that's at least my take to it. Yeah, again, I feel like Arc is underwhelming, at least just for me, but all in all, I think we have time for one more quick subject.
Yeah. Let's
talk about what are our expectations for the rest of the season. What are you looking forward to? Obviously, I know Trials is huge for you, but what are you excited for? We've got several, obviously, 2 more months, 3 more months of this. What are you most excited for? What are you looking forward to, and what do you want to see out of the rest of this season?
Big thing for me is, of course, GM's coming up, but the biggest thing for me is the Halloween event.
Yeah,
that's coming up, and
very excited.
Very excited. And they changed up the activity last year, which
very thankful for.
Yes, super thankful for. I'm a huge fan of the Infinite Forest, but they kind of made it. They kind of wore it out. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, I'm just excited for what next season is going to hold, because we know for a fact that it's interesting because we've seen the focus each season on the 3.0 abilities, the 3.0 updates, and so I'm hopefully optimistic about what the next season is going to be. I hope it's going to be huge.
I have one speculation for that. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Armor 3.0.
Oh my goodness.
We've seen huge changes to weapons.
Yeah.
And we can craft those now. We've seen huge overhauls to our supers. Armor.
Armor 3.0. That'd be cool. That'd be
Let's
cool.
see Armor 3.0.
Armor 3.0 armor crafting. There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
let's see it.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Or at least even just talk about it. Or set the sandbox up into a way where it's like, ooh, getting it ready for Lightfall, you know? What am I excited for? Well, first off, Blood says, I want my Buster Rifle. Yes. So, for those of you who don't know, Team Mech won this season when it came to picking the Halloween costumes, and the Halloween costumes have been the mech suits, and they have been theming the weapons based around the armor set. So last year we had dinosaurs, so we had a gun called Jurassic Green.
So cool.
It was pretty good pulse rifle, all things considered. Honestly, it was kind of overshadowed by Grid Skipper because that was also a great pulse rifle that came out. I think it was during that season or just before it. Grid Skipper was a void pulse rifle, lightweight frame, same as Jurassic Green, except Jurassic Green was solar. So you had, options there. Pretty good. And some very interesting perks. I actually don't remember. I think I have 2 guns of those still left over. So Buster Rifle is going to be a sniper rifle or a scout rifle made for the Gundam suits, which is going to be really cool to see.
It looks like an aggressive frame. We know that much. It looks very cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I would love to see an exotic one and it be able to, stop unstoppables. That would be sweet. Like explosive payload, just like chunk, chunk, bang. Like almost fire like xenophage bullets.
Or better yet, give us, in true Buster Rifle fashion, give us, and I know we're wrapping up now, but give us a trace rifle, okay?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That
so lasers, yeah.
That exactly because it shoots a beam, right? Mm-hmm. So it condenses the magazine down into one consolidated blast. It's just
yep. There you go.
Boom, and then it stuns unstoppables or whatever.
Or just bring back the sniper rifle from D1 where it's like dynamite with laser beam was its exotic perk. You know what I'm talking about?
Zen Meteor?
Bring back Zen Meteor and make it look like a Buster Rifle.
Heck yeah. Boom. I'm okay with that.
I am very excited for GMs, obviously. That is one of my more favorite content pieces to drop.
Make it linear.
Challenging, good weapons, great loot. I definitely want to see where the story is going. It's shaping up to be really good. Getting the rest of those red bar weapons from the seasonal activity has been kind of a challenge. I just crafted the shotgun, and oh man, is it a lot of fun. What I'm looking forward to next is definitely seeing how they present next season. Because we're kind of like on this weird, like kind of offshoot story a bit with the pirate stuff.
Yeah.
With Aramis coming back. So I wonder if Aramis is going to get away and join up with the Witness, which now means we have 2 enemies that have joined up with the Witness. And I wouldn't be surprised because on the title card for Lightfall, we saw Osiris as one of the title people. I would love to see Osiris wake up and become the villain for next season, and him also side with the Witness. Or maybe next season's going to be Season of Siva, and we're going to have Rasputin wake up and just helping him get powered up and online to help us then combat the Witness.
By the way, if it's Siva, makes a really nice. You gotta go away now. You're purring into my microphone. That'd be a great way to introduce the Iron Lords back in, because we know that at some point somebody will be taking over the mantle for Baracus Forge.
Which I would be surprised to see if Crow does it. Because then that would leave Anna Bray open to go take over the Hunters.
Yeah, I feel like where there's always, with all of the leaks that come out, there's always like a hint of truth in a lot of them. And that being that, a lot of the times the leaks are exactly right. They might just be a season or 2 off.
Right.
And they were exactly right with this one. It was pirates, but there was also something about Siva pretty recently where they showed off some stuff that looked like Siva that was somewhere in the database, the data mine or whatnot, and that's been a couple of months ago at this point, so I wouldn't be surprised if either next season or the following. I think it'll be next season, because the following season is going to be Lightfall.
Right.
So
there's currently right now an emote in the Bright Dust store where it's called Buzz Off, and it looks like a swarm of Siva like next to your face, and so you're just kind of like swishing it away.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very proud of you. You almost pulled an Alinity right there with the cat. Instead of like putting the cat down nicely like you did, you almost, threw the cat.
Dude, my bed's right there. I could have. She
I
would
know,
have landed
I
on
know.
all four.
And then you could have apologized, but the thing is, Ledge, you don't have tits. You can't apologize like that.
And good for me.
Anyway, that's going to wrap up Speaker Podcast number 25. I've been Batsam.
And I'm Xcalion. Thank you so much for joining us. As Ghostwood said, slap the like button. Chat, let's go. Let's do it.
There you go.
Let's get it. And we'll see you next time, my friends. Godspeed.
I think we're rating next.